I feel like I just did this. DJI just released the Mavic Air 2, Mavic Air 2S. Mavic S2 Air, you know what I'm talking about. This drone looks awesome, it really does, but quick disclaimer, so you know where I'm going in this video. I don't have the drone and I've never flown it. I'm practically in the same situation as you here. But I like to make these videos to help guide you through the decision-making process without feeling like I'm biased or like tainted by some sort of hype of having a brand new drone that was sent to me for free or sponsorships or something. I'd love to have all the new gear just on hand to be able to review for you, but I don't, and I just like to make the most of that situation, our situation. That said, let me give you my opinion on whether now is a good time to upgrade from your little drone or maybe even your Mavic Pro to the Mavic Air 2S. The first thing that's going to come into play when deciding whether you should upgrade from your current drone to the Air 2S is what current drone do you even have? If you've got one of the newer, higher quality drones from DJI, something like the Mavic Pro 2 or the Mavic Air, anything in that range from like prosumer to pro, you might be looking at the Air 2S and think, that's like the best of the best and I want to upgrade to that. And you might be right. From what I've seen, from reviews and footage, test footage, there's a bit of a discrepancy between whether the Hasselblad on the Mavic 2 Pro is better or the Air 2S with its camera is better. There's a bunch of awesome videos on the actual specifics of these things, so I'm not going to get real into it. The Air 2S just has a higher definition camera at 5.4K versus the Mavic 2 Pro's 4K, so like there's a bit of a difference there. Though to be fair, once you get up over 4K, even with drones, the difference is kind of minimal. Either way, the Mavic Air 2S can definitely compete with the Mavic 2 Pro, and it's less expensive. So in your situation, is it worth buying the Air 2S because it is the best of the best right now? Well, I'm not going to give you a straight up suggestion because I don't want to be held financially responsible for any of this, but let's break down a few things. If you're looking for a pro offering, the Air 2S looks like a great way to go, but it is missing a few of those specific features like the variable aperture and a few of the sensors, right? But it's not a huge difference from something like the Mavic 2 Pro. We've been over this. However, the biggest drawback of buying the Mavic Air 2S, that's so long to say. If you want to buy it as a pro video, if you're shooting stock footage, that sort of thing, think about where DJI is going now. And when we're talking about this, consider your budget, because if you want top of the line, your budget doesn't really matter. I'm going to suggest something to you. Do what I'm doing and wait. Wait until DJI puts out their Mavic 3 Pro. We don't know specifically when it's coming. I think it should be coming soon, like by the end of the year. I'm no kind of like drone insider, but I've got a logical explanation for this. We know two main reasons for why DJI has been so slow to get out the Mavic 3 Pro as opposed to their previous drone upgrades. It's been quite a number of years since the Mavic 2 Pro came out. The biggest reasons in this slow development are A, the legal troubles that DJI was having with why is it so hard? Patenting, which to my knowledge are pretty much all resolved now, especially since they just put out the Air 2S. Like I think they're pretty much covered on that front. And also the Mavic 2 Pro has had awesome sales. Sales which are going to steadily decline now that the Mavic Air 2S is a direct competitor to the Mavic 2 Pro at a lower price point. That specifically combined with the fact that DJI left out variable aperture and a few other like pro features from the Air 2S lead me to assume they're going to be releasing the Mavic 3 Pro sometime later this year so that they can capitalize on the pro market. But then again, that's just me. I know nothing solid about this. So what I'm doing, since I've been thinking about getting into some aerial photography, maybe stock footage, that sort of thing, I'm gonna wait until they release the Mavic 3 Pro because that will most likely be huge. It has to be, because their Pro lineup is always going to be leagues ahead, hopefully, to justify the price point of their prosumer lineup. For example, since the Air 2S has 5.4K, we could be looking at 6K on the Mavic Pro 3, which is crazy. Either that or DJI is going to tailor it more toward professional videography, cinematography, give it a smoother, less digitalized look, which is something I personally would value. I want to see what they're going to offer for that, especially before I make some sort of larger purchase like a $1,200 Fly More pack on the Air S2. Patience is almost always the name of the game when it comes to technology like this. And I know it's super hard. I know it's so hard. I should be first in line to buy the Air S2. Why? Because I have the DJI Spark. That's all I got. So if you're like me, coming from something like the Spark or say the Mini 2, one of those beginner entry-level drones, is the Air S2 something that you should be looking at, as opposed to people who are upgrading from a more prosumer drone to another prosumer? You get it. This is going to be completely dependent upon what you want to do with the drone. Do you want something that shoots really high quality video, but say just for your YouTube videos? Or are you going to be shooting stock footage, films, that sort of thing with it? If the Mavic Pro 3 comes out and it's an extra $500, $600 as opposed to the Air 2S, is that something that's going to burn a massive hole in your pocket and you can't buy that? Well, that's perfectly understandable. The fact of the matter is the Air 2S is a pro drone. I mean, compared to what we had really even 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the further back you go, the more absurd it is that we're getting such a fantastic drone for a fairly reasonable price from DJI. In the end, you just can't go wrong here. The only reason to hold off is that if you have a good budget, you want to wait for the Pro 3, and you want to go even more right than buying the Air 2S. In the end, I think that this drone is for anybody who can afford it, but there is probably going to be an even better one down the line. And looking at the choices that DJI made with the Air S2 makes me believe that the better one down the line is going to be coming sometime before the end of the year. And I at least want to check it out before I purchase the Air S2. Like I always say at the end of these things, if you're looking to buy some sort of tech, whether it be camera gear or drone, well, I was going to say a piece of pizza, but it doesn't really work out this way because you just get super hungry. Wait on it. Wait on it a week. If you still want it just as much a week from now and you've done extra research in between and you've decided this is the one, this is what I want to get, go for it. I don't want to hold you back from that at all. But I like to make these videos to hopefully snap you out of that like hype mindset that even I get so sucked into. And that way together we can take a more logical approach to, is this something that I actually need right now? Or should I give it some time to see if I could get something a little bit better down the line?